Hey everybody, it's IcyNewYear, and I wanted to talk about a kind of serious topic today. I wanted to talk about depression. Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend the other night, and there's some stuff I kind of want to share with everyone. So, first thing I want to talk about is the difference between having depression and being depressed. Because quite honestly, in everyone's life, there's going to be some time when you're depressed. I mean, be it your significant other breaking up with you, a family member or a friend or a pet dying, everyone is going to have some form of situational depression at some point. And I want to actually go ahead and I want to step back a second and say, I'm not a doctor. These are my opinions that I formed because of my experiences, and that's all. Feel free to just call me an idiot and leave it all there on the table. But, yeah, so everyone's going to go through some form of depression in their lives. But I want to point out that is very different than having depression. The biggest difference is when you're in the middle of a situational depression, things look bad, but you can look and see that at some point things are going to be better. That eventually you're not going to feel this way. When you have depression, you lose that hope. And that's the biggest difference. It's, someone who is fighting depression, they get to that state and they look forward and they're like, I'm always going to feel this way. Or if I do feel better, it's only a matter of time before I feel like this again. And not having that hope, not knowing that sometime, some indiscriminate, undecided moment in the future, you're going to feel better, makes the whole experience a hell of a lot worse. Yeah. I just wanted to say that. I mean, that doesn't mean that if you don't have depression, you can't be there for people who do. I mean, you know what part of it feels like. Just realize it is that without that hope, things are a lot stronger, they're a lot deeper, there's a lot less to look forward to. I know in my personal depressions, I mean, I have other things tinted in with that. The schizophrenia makes things a little bit different. And the bipolar means, or the bipolar symptoms, makes things different. But with the depressions, yeah. But I wanted to talk about a couple things. Basically, if you are dealing with someone who has depression, things they're probably not going to want to hear and why. It's things I hear a lot in my life. One of them is, it's all in your head. Don't let it beat you. It's all in your mind. And I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on that right now. Because, technically, yeah, it's true. Depression is entirely in your mind. It is a chemical imbalance in your brain that is causing you to feel that way. But you know what else is in your mind? The ability to regulate your heartbeat or regulate your breathing. That's also in your mind. But if someone is having a heart attack, we don't tell them, hey, it's in your mind. Just, tell your heart to work right. It doesn't work that way. Just because it's a psychological illness, just because it is feelings, chemicals creating feelings, does not mean you can pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That's also the second one. I cannot stand. That is like my least favorite thing to hear. Why don't you just pick yourself up by your bootstraps? I mean, yes, when you are in the midst of a depression, laying around and doing nothing does not help. It's kind of like diabetes in a way, where you can't just will yourself to not have diabetes. That isn't a thing that can happen. But diet and exercise and just a healthy lifestyle can help you manage your diabetes. It's the same way. Diet and exercise can affect your depression. So yes, there is, some wisdom in the whole, get out there, do something. That does help. For me, my YouTube channel is a big part of my managing my depression. It gives me goals that I need to reach. It gives me timelines that I have to force myself to do. Most of the time, I really enjoy it. But every once in a while, honestly, there's a week where I'm just in a state of mind where I don't want to do anything. But forcing myself to do my YouTube channel keeps me active, which does help. So, I kind of got off on a tangent on that one. But yeah. The other big one that I hear a lot is someone out there, or there's people that have it worse than you. And yes, that is true. There's always someone that has it worse, unless you're like that one person. That, someone's like, oh, someone else that has it worse. And you're like, no. You're empirical scientific evidence that no one has it worse than me. I assume it'd be Dr. Horrible would be the person that no one has it worse than. Because people keep moving his chair and all. But, okay, moving on. Yeah, it's true, but it doesn't help. Someone else having a shittier day than me does not make my day less shitty. It doesn't make my feelings any less valid. It doesn't mean that my depression is any less real. It's a waste of breath, and it's really just going to piss people off. I mean, you can do the reverse. You're having a good day. I see that you're in a great mood, and I can expect, someone else has it better than you. Why are you happy? It's exactly the same thing. You wouldn't ever think of being like, oh shit, someone does have it better than me. I better tone my happiness down. You can't do the opposite. You can't be like, oh, now that you mentioned that there are people starving to death and being murdered, I feel better. Yeah. Okay, a couple other ones. One I've had personal experience with, and one I haven't. But I've had friends who have personal experiences with it. You're just having a bad day, or are you PMSing? Obviously, no one's asked me if I'm PMSing. I've had friends that have been asked that, and God, that isn't going to help. Yes, I'm having a bad day. But no, it's not just I've had a bad day. It is a deeper issue that requires help, honestly. And then one other one I wanted to talk about that I hear a lot is you don't look depressed. You don't seem depressed. And there's something about depression that most people just don't realize. There's different types of depression. When I'm depressed, it doesn't always mean I'm incredibly sad and I want to hurt myself, kill myself, That is not always how it feels. There are other types of depression, like one that's a lot more common for me is just a feeling of a complete neutrality. It's less sad and more just not feeling emotions. You almost feel dead. You just don't have energy. You don't have any motivation, and you don't feel feelings. You don't feel happy. You don't feel sad. You just feel nothing. And honestly, that can be so oppressive. And in my mind, sometimes that's worse because you don't feel human. But people who have depression can sometimes learn to function in society while depressed. It doesn't mean that they're dealing with it in a healthy manner, and it doesn't mean they're going to be at their best. It's just, when you deal with chronic depression, chronic clinical depression, you either learn to deal or to cope and at least get through your daily life while depressed, or you accomplish nothing, and your life falls apart around you. So just because I'm up and I've done the things I need to do for the day does not mean I'm not in the middle of a depression. The whole you don't look depressed, you don't seem depressed is bullshit. I mean, the person who's going through it is the one who can know. So, yep. There's my little rambling vlog here on depression. I have a lot more to say, I just don't know how it fits into this one, and I'm not quite sure how to articulate it at the moment. But if you have questions, let me know. And then the one thing I can say is if you feel that you're experiencing depression, get help. There's hotlines out there. I'll try to put some of them in the description down below. And I don't know, my personal belief is that every person in the world should go see a therapist once a month. Whether or not you have a mental illness, God, it just feels good to get it all off your chest. But yeah, sorry that all just kind of petered out, but there's just some things I wanted to say. As always, have a great one.